Hey guys, we are in week 11 of the course. This week is going to be your last reverse engineer post. And then also we're going to do a little bit more on creative ads, but it's going to be slightly different from what we've been working on in Photoshop for the last 2 weeks. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into week 11 and I'll just walk you through kind of what we need to accomplish so that you are off and running for this week's projects. The first thing is remember the questions on the conversations board. This is a great place to ask questions and also to answer questions if fellow students have a question that you actually know the answer to. I always appreciate it when you teach each other. I'll be in the board throughout the week too, so don't worry about anything like that. If I don't respond, make sure you send me an email. Odds are I just missed it for some reason, so that it just means there's a lot going on and somehow I missed that comment. Don't think that I'm avoiding you, I promise. With that said, let's get into the ad campaign. So the difference between the ad campaign this week and what we just did in the creative ad, they sound similar, but they're not. So here's what I basically want to have you do. All these instructions right here are super important. I'm going to just kind of summarize, but by all means, go back and read every line, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to pick a professional ad. This needs to be something that is fairly current within the last 2 or 3 years. Vintage ads are very cool. If you find a current ad that looks vintage, I'm okay with using that. If you're picking an ad from the 1950s, go ahead and pick something else. Vintage ads are awesome to look at, but they're really hard to recreate. And what I want you to be able to do with this more current ad is show me that A, you can find ads that are on trend, and B, that you can utilize those skills and keep things on trend. And the reason for it is we're really trying to hone your skill sets in design and in the different Adobe programs and push you towards graduation in that idea that you can showcase some examples of your work that shows that you can stay on trend, that you can follow basic layout principles, that kind of thing. So that's why we want to stay away from the vintage ads and move more towards more common trendy ads that are happening right now, kind of in our current social media realm. So with that said, you're going to pick a professional ad. Then you're going to recreate an ad. So oftentimes you guys are familiar with this. You'll see, I'll just use Nike as an example. Nike will create a series of ads that will come out either in magazines or print, in a newspaper or somewhere. And they'll also probably run them as commercials. But what they end up doing is they'll take a very similar ad design and push it out multiple ways. They may change the taglines. They'll definitely change maybe the sport or even the athlete. And they'll change, whether they're showing the gear or whether they're showing the athlete doing something active in that particular area and they just happen to be wearing Nike. So you can see that concept of how it kind of goes through. So then you'll create a new ad. And then finally, you're going to be pulling all the sources together to create that ad. And that means that this week you will not complete a project report. Instead, this legally obtained resource report right here that's highlighted in blue, you're going to download that and fill it out to tell me where you gathered up the elements to create that new ad. So I'll show you some examples so this makes a little bit more sense. Here is the original ad, the Levi's ad. The student went out and just selected this off the internet. So they searched Levi's and they searched ad and they came up with a bunch of options and this is the one they chose. When they picked this ad, they looked at it and said, okay, it's fairly easy. There's a website here. There's a tagline here. There's some design elements here I should be able to recreate. The guy's doing something active and is wearing jeans, and then I need a logo. So it's very similar to kind of what you did in the creative ad, but it's not going to be as intense because we're not looking for you to do a ton of photoshopping elements together and different images and that kind of thing. It's just showing us that you can use the skills to recreate another ad that would go into the series. So the ad on the left is the original. The ad on the right here, the same thing. The student said, okay, I need a new picture of a guy in jeans that's doing something active. This is the one they found. Then they looked and found a font that was pretty similar to the original. It might actually be the actual font, but something similar is totally fine. They used the paintbrush tool, probably in Photoshop or Illustrator, and added in the lines to kind of give that active, alive look to the ad. And then they dropped in the logo and made sure that they had all the same elements in their new ad that existed in the old ad. Okay. Same thing here for the North Face. Really all they didn't even change up the text lines. They did the exact same words and they just put them in all the right places, but they made sure that they pulled the two images, that the images were different, and they didn't cut and paste this text from this photo. So they didn't cut this text here and paste it here. They went and found a font and then made sure that it was pretty close and then went ahead and laid it out. So when you're creating this in either Photoshop or Illustrator, there's not cutting and pasting happening. What you need to be doing is gathering up the elements and then creating a new ad from scratch. But it needs to blend into that original ad series, all right? So with that said, what you're going to turn in is your original ad, your new ad, and then your filled out resource report. These instructions down here are a little bit confusing. Up here it says you will be submitting 2 PDFs. Down here it says upload the 3 PDFs. I'm fine either way, but the easiest way for me is if you create 3 PDFs. And I think that would probably be easiest for you too. You're going to open your original ad that you found on the internet and make sure that you save it as a high quality file. Okay, and then label it your name, original ad. And then on the new advertisement, save it as a high quality file, label it with your name and the new ad. And then just your name and the resource report. So there should be 3 files that are going to be submitted on Wednesday's deadline, okay? It says PDF. I'm going to be honest with you, with all the stress that we've had over files and PDFs in Photoshop in the last 2 weeks, if you want to save it as a JPEG, I am not going to mark you down for that because I know the JPEGs are popping up a lot easier. Those of you that have submitted your creative ad finals early, I have checked just to see if it's coming through clear, and the JPEGs are beautiful and they're super quick, and I'm hoping you're finding that on your side too. So a JPEG is totally fine with me in this assignment, okay? It does say PDF, but I'm not going to mark down for that. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward. You'll submit those items here, and then I want to skip forward to explain a little bit about what Saturday's turn-in will be, and that's the ad campaign reverse engineer post. So just like every reverse engineer post, you were going to create some draw-overs, and you're also going to put it up on your blog. And then the most important thing that I want you to pay attention to is you're going to do just pretty much the same layout as what we've done for all the other reverse engineer posts. You need to give me an introduction to what you're going to talk to me about in the blog post. I want you to give attribution to the designer or wherever you found the original ad. Remember, if you can't find the exact designer, that's okay. Write down the link or include the live link of where you did find it. Then I want you to give me some original ad analysis. So do a couple draw-overs. Make sure that you talk about design, so the contrast, the repetition, alignment, and proximity. Then tell me about color and also about type in the original ad. Then you're going to take your new ad and tell me the same kind of things. So you're going to create the draw-overs and show me how the contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity match up with the original ad, and then also how the color and typography match it up with or blend, because I know sometimes the type, you can't find a font that's exactly like it, but tell me how the choices that you did made help it blend with the original ad in the series. Then you're going to give me a really brief conclusion about how the ads work together and how it kind of blends in for the series, and then you'll be good to go. So you'll just, the same way, you'll submit a PDF of your blog post just in case the internet does not want to work in our favor when I have to get on and grade, and then also you want to submit a live link. So on Saturday's deadline, you're looking for a live link and a PDF of your post, which is based off of the original ad and the new ad you created. And then Wednesday's deadline are the 3 files: the original ad you pulled that was a professionally done ad, the new ad that you created, which would be the next ad in the series, and then that resource report. With that said, the week should be fairly simple. Still quite a bit of work, but you can do this. I'm seeing great stuff from you guys. We are getting so close to the end. Hang in there. If you've got questions, stop by the questions and conversations board and see if there's answers there, or put your question in. And then if you need to email me about something, by all means, drop me a line and we'll make sure that we get things taken care of. And with that, have a great week.